All right, welcome everyone. In this explainer, we're going to jump right into the world of wide area networking. Think of this as your strategic preview. The big ideas you need to get your head around to understand how massive global businesses stay connected. That'll set you up perfectly for a deeper dive. Let's get to it. So let's start with a really big question. Just think about that for a second. You've got thousands of people separated by oceans, different time zones. How do they all work together like they're in the same building? This isn't just a technical puzzle, you know? It's really the central challenge of any modern business. And it's exactly the kind of problem that you, as future IT leaders, are going to be solving.
Well, the answer is the Wide Area Network, or what we call a WAN. You can think of it as the company's digital nervous system. It's this powerful, secure, and hopefully really reliable infrastructure that turns all those separate offices into one single cohesive organization. Honestly, it's the backbone of modern business, and understanding how it works is absolutely non-negotiable for a career in tech.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the power of a WAN, we first have to understand what it isn't. I mean, we're all pretty familiar with the network in a single office building, right? But what happens when the business expands and grows beyond those four walls? This is where a really crucial shift in responsibility happens. A local area network, a LAN, that's your territory. It's the network inside your office that you own, you build, and you control directly. But a WAN, well, that's the connective tissue between all your LANs. Here's a good way to think about it. If a LAN is your neighborhood streets, the WAN is the massive interstate highway system. You don't build the highway yourself, right? You rely on service providers. But you are absolutely responsible for choosing the best on-ramps and the fastest routes for all your company's data. And you know, that really brings us to the heart of what your future role is all about. As an IT professional, you're not just a technician plugging in cables. You're a strategist. You're going to be making these critical business decisions about which on-ramps to use to connect your company to the rest of the world.
Okay, so here's a classic scenario you're definitely going to face. The company's opening a new branch office. So what do? Do you go for the cheapest connection, the fastest, the most reliable? See, the answer isn't just a technical one. It's about matching the technology with what that specific office actually needs to do business.
So when you boil it down, you've got two main choices. On one hand, you've got your standard broadband. Picture that public highway again. It's pretty cost-effective, it gets the job done, but you're sharing the road with everybody else's traffic. On the other hand, you have dedicated internet access, or DIA. Now this is like having your own private guaranteed lane on that highway. The connection is yours and yours alone, with symmetrical bandwidth, which just means your upload and download speeds are the same. That guarantee is absolutely essential for things like video calls or e-commerce, and it comes backed by a contract, a service level agreement, or SLA.
But here's the thing, it's not just about the physical wires anymore. Modern networks actually have a brain. Technologies like SD-WAN, that's software-defined WAN, they add this incredible layer of intelligence on top of everything. The network can automatically tell what traffic is most important and prioritize it, or it can switch to a backup connection if one fails, all managed from a single screen. This is where networking gets really strategic. Okay, so we've built the highways connecting our offices. Now, how do we make sure a package we send from Dallas actually gets to the right desk in Singapore and doesn't end up in London by mistake?
Well, that's where the router comes in. If the WAN is the highway system, the router is basically the GPS and the traffic cop all rolled into one. It sits at all the intersections where networks meet, and it makes millions of decisions every single second about the fastest, most efficient path for every little piece of your company's data.
And it does this through a super fast, 5-step process for every single packet of data. A router gets a packet, it reads the destination address, it quickly looks at its map, which we call a routing table, to find the best path, and then it zips it along to the next stop. This cycle is happening millions of times a second, by routers all over the globe, and it's what makes the entire internet and your company's private network work at all.
So how does a router know if there's a big traffic jam up ahead or maybe a road closure? Well, it talks to other routers. They use these special languages called routing protocols to give each other constant updates. For example, a protocol like OSPF helps routers find the best path inside your company's network, while BGP is what they use to navigate the huge, wider internet. This constant chatter lets them reroute traffic on the fly, creating this amazing living, self-healing system. Now, connecting your whole business to the world is incredibly powerful, but it also opens up the door to a lot of risk. So once you've built this amazing global network, your next critical job is to defend it. Your very first line of defense can be an access control list, or ACL, right on your router. It's really simple.
Think of it like a bouncer at a club who has a very specific guest list. It just looks at who the traffic is from and where it's going, and decides if it's allowed in or not. It's a basic but pretty effective way to block visitors you don't want. Then you've got the proxy server, which adds another layer. A proxy acts like a middleman. So instead of your employees talking directly to the internet, they talk to the proxy, and then the proxy talks to the internet for them. To the outside world, it looks like all your company's traffic is coming from just one place, which, gives you some really valuable anonymity. But the main gatekeeper to your digital fortress, that's the firewall. A firewall is way, way more sophisticated than a simple ACL. It can actually look inside the data that's passing through, spot potential threats, and enforce a much more detailed security policy. It is, without a doubt, the single most important security device protecting your network.
Now listen to this, because this is the crucial part. You can have the most expensive, most powerful firewall in the entire world, but it means absolutely nothing if it's not set up correctly. Just one single mistake in its configuration can leave your entire company wide open. And that's why a deep understanding of security policy is every bit as important as the hardware itself. Okay, so as you get ready to actually read Chapter 9, let's highlight a few key ideas. I want you to think of these as the bridge between what's in the textbook and what you'll actually be doing day to day in your career. Here's what I want you to really focus on. When you read about symmetrical bandwidth, don't just learn the definition. Ask yourself why a business that sells things online absolutely depends on it. When you get to routing protocols, make sure you understand the strategic difference between the ones used inside your network versus the ones that connect you to the internet. Pay super close attention to the shared responsibility model, especially with the cloud. You have to know where your provider's job ends and yours begins. That's also huge for troubleshooting, by the way. And finally, never ever forget the massive impact one little firewall mistake can have. These are the concepts that will separate a technician from a true IT strategist. So let's wrap this up with one final question. After you've mastered all this tech, the connections, the routing, the security, what's the one thing that will ultimately define your success? At the end of the day, it all comes down to this: your ability to translate your technical choices into actual business value. Choosing the right WAN connection isn't just about speed. It's about enabling a global team to work together. It's about driving sales. It's about securing the company's future. That is your real mission. Enjoy the chapter, and welcome to the fascinating and incredibly important world of wide area networking.